Fanta, I teased it before. UConn, Marquette, the XL Center, beautiful Hartford, Connecticut, number 1 versus number 4, Saturday, 3 p.m. Big Fox. I'm hoping we get Gus and Raftery on that call. I don't know. You might actually know who's going to be on the call. What are you looking forward to in this game?
There's bad blood between these two teams. And that is something that is being lost on the game. So if you remember last year in the Big East tournament, Dan Hurley said after UConn beat Providence in the Big East quarterfinals that this is our house. This is the Huskies' house. We own this place. And they have owned it this season, unbeaten at MSG. North Carolina, the Empire Classic, when they beat Texas and Indiana. So, yeah, they've had success there. But Marquette heard all that. Golden Eagles heard all that. And the next day, Cam Jones says, we wish them well in heading back to their real home. Thanks for coming. He talked some trash. And David Joplin said, at the end of the day, they still had to show up for a game at 6:30, and we showed them that all of those statements they made last night were untrue. That's what those guys told us after that game, that Cam Jones said we sent them well. We sent them off packing. Maybe they can have some extra rest for the NCAA tournament. Connecticut used an extra day of reflection. They ended up winning the national championship.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
But if there was a source of motivation for UConn heading into this season, it was that they have struggled at times in Big East play. Now, they haven't struggled this year in the Big East, just the one conference loss. But they haven't won the Big East regular season title since 2006. They haven't won the conference tournament since 2011. Saturday is the first time these two teams have met. Great job by the Big East to set the two UConn Marquette games up this late in the season. That's brilliant scheduling. That's working with a TV partner because you delivered this game. This is one of the best games of the year. I think it's one of the best games the Big East has had in a regular season since the conference realigned, if not the best game. It might be the very best game that we've seen. Why? You have two of the top 3 point guards in America squaring off on Saturday. Kolek is the best point guard. Tristan Nude would be in my top 3 with Braden Smith in there as well. You have two incredible twos in Cam Spencer and Cam Jones. Their ability to fill it up. You have such a really interesting dynamic that T.O. will probably get to here at the 5 position. The 5 position, where Donovan Clingan typically, just by his mere presence, is able to alter everything, block stuff. You have to think twice. Ocho Ighodaro is not that type of big. He's mobile. He's a passer. He's got versatility. He's got athleticism. The matchup of the 5 is a dream. It's really special. This scene in Hartford on Saturday will be outstanding. This is everything you want in a college basketball game in the Northeast. Marquette is hot. They've won 8 in a row. Connecticut will take a 13-game winning streak into this one. UConn Marquette is going to be all-out fire.
In a lot of ways, like Marquette's the anti-UConn. Like that's kind of like it's kind of like Spider-Man and Venom. Like, and I'm not sure which one's good and which one's evil. I'm venturing to guess that UConn's evil, but they relish in that. So I meant that as a compliment, not a bad thing.
That's just because Shaka recruited you, man. Come on.
No, it's because Dan Hurley. That's why. That's why.
They like being the villain, though.
Exactly. He prefers being the villain. So I'm going to give it to him. No, they're the exact opposite. The UConn's a little bit more methodical, big, burly, powerful at every position, and Marquette's a little smaller, a little quicker, and not all that much quicker, but you get what I'm saying. Like smaller, quicker, moves it, free-flowing offense, motion, get it to one guy, let him make decisions, and UConn's going to run sets. Like they can play motion, sure, but they're just going to run sets and they're going to grind you down. That's what makes this game so intriguing. I think the fact that it's at UConn is a big thing. And another thing is the matchup at the 5 is kind of why UConn gives them trouble, because you're pulling what Donovan Clingan's so good at, You're taking him away from the bucket. I'm curious if there's a matchup thing to where you play Johnson and Klingon, and then put Klingon on somebody like a Stevie Mitchell and be like, "Hey, dude, go ahead, shoot it. I'm still gonna have my big dog around the rim." I don't think they'll do that, but I would venture to guess that there's something in the plans of, hey, how can we figure out ways to put Klingon and keep him right around the rim? But neither here nor there. I think that's a really intriguing matchup, just for all the right reasons. Two tough teams, two teams that'll talk a little bit, and I think it's going to be great television.
Yeah, I do think, and you guys aren't wrong in saying that there's a little bit of a dislike and a little bit of resentment between these two programs. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, we said this when it came to Dan Hurley versus Rick Pitino, like having that bitterness, having a rivalry there is what makes matchups like this so intriguing. And when you combine the fact that these are both top 10 teams, when you combine the fact that these are two of the longest winning streaks that you have in all of college basketball, when you combine the fact that there are two great point guards, there are two really, really intense coaches, and that these are two teams that quite literally could go out and win a national title this year, I think that this has all the makings of an all-time classic. I will also add this, because there's stakes, and I don't mean to cut you off, but there's stakes here that I think we need to discuss, because UConn right now, you mentioned it, Fana, has not won a conference regular season title since 2006. They have a 2-game lead on Marquette right now in the Big East. That's before they play DePaul tonight, a Valentine's Day date at DePaul in Chicago. At least they know it's going to be private. They won't have very many people sitting there watching them on their date against DePaul, so that's probably a good thing. But this is how UConn closes their schedule: Marquette at home, at Creighton, Villanova at home, Seton Hall at home, at Marquette, at Providence. They play their 3 toughest road games of the season in their last 5 games, and that does not include tonight's home game against Marquette. They can legitimately go 3-3 in that stretch, right? If you beat Marquette tonight, then you're putting yourself in a situation where you will guarantee yourself a share of the Big East regular season title by beating Villanova and Seton Hall at home. And that probably gets you a number 1 seed. If you win this game, you're probably going to end up being the 1 seed in the Big East tournament, which means you don't have to play Creighton or Marquette until the championship. You don't get one of those two teams in the semifinals in all likelihood. So when it comes to being able to win multiple championships and multiple Big East championships this year, this is an incredibly important game for that. You lose to Marquette at home, you only have a 1-game lead, and you still have to play your 3 toughest road games, and that becomes something where, like, all of a sudden the pressure gets ratcheted up just a little bit on UConn here. Go ahead, Fanta.
Well, I think, trying to think of what I was going to cut you off with now. I lost
Here, let me, while you think about it, let me add this, because I think that the most intriguing part of this matchup to me, and Tio, tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, is
I know what it is.
It's the thing with Klingon, right? I fully expect them to just have Klingon play like as drop can be on anything that Oso Ighodaro does. And if that means you have to go over every screen, if that means you have to what's the word I'm looking for, T.O.? Top lock people, where you have to try to kind of take it away. Whatever you do, I think that's, you basically just don't let anyone come off a screen, don't let anyone fade off a screen, force them to curl everything, force them to go to the rim. And if you have to live with Oso Ighodaro making 10-foot jump shots and that's what beats you, I think that you live with Oso Ighodaro making those 10-foot jump shots and letting that beat you. But Tyler Kolek against Tristan Newton, man, I cannot wait for this. Kolek's been unbelievable. Like, have you looked at his stats over the last 8 games on this winning streak? He's averaging like 21 points, 9.5 assists, and shooting something insane like 47% from 3 and 52% from the floor. Like, he's been ridiculous.
That's what I was just going to bring up. So over the last 4 games, Tyler Kolek is averaging 26 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds per game, meaning you essentially could go on a triple-double watch every game.
Mm-hmm.
You get to about the 12-minute mark left in the game. Kolek has scored at least 27 in 3 of the last 4 games. He has totaled a double-digit number of assists 4 times on the team's 8-game winning streak. And on that 8-game winning streak, Tyler Kolek has posted 75 assists to just 21 turnovers.
He's ridiculous, man.
That is ridiculous.
He's ridiculous.
And it just goes to show you that, like, you know, what's interesting about the Big East tournament, allow me to go down an avenue for just a moment, is, and I've had some conversations with people, you know, from the Big East side of things. Like, this tournament's going to be really interesting because the top of the league is well in shape for the NCAAs, right? The middle of the league could be fighting for their lives.
Yep.
So that creates a real interesting layer to your conference tournament. Is somebody going to fight for their life and put the game of their life together? Because it's practically an NCAA tournament game for some of these teams, potentially, for Providence, for a Seton Hall, for hell, a Villanova. Like, this is going to be those types of stakes for some of those middling teams, where, like, you're going to get your 3-6, your 4-5 games. You know, your 8-9. Like, those teams aren't bad. There's two awful teams in the league, and then there's a whole lot of throw the ball up into the air. And that's going to be really interesting to see. But if we get, you know, I hope we get 3 rounds of UConn Marquette. We get round 1.
4. Give us 4, man. Give us a Big East tournament title game and give us a matchup in the Final Four. Like, I'm here for it.
Now, I know T.O. never left, but now I believe again that Marquette can make the Final Four. And it's not just because they're ranked number 4. It's how they're playing.
It's because Tyler Kolek turned into the best point guard. He turned into Chris Paul overnight. Like, he was horrible for 2 games. He looked like me playing point guard. They lose 2 in a row. Everyone jumps off the bandwagon. And Tyler Kolek just says, fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck everybody. I got this.
Would you vote in if you had to vote for Big East Player of the Year today?
Yes. It's like it's not even a discussion. And I know Marquette fans have been getting on me because every time someone says Tyler Kolek is the best point guard in college basketball, I post a picture of Tristan Newton just going like this with the phone call, and it gets them all riled up. But, like, we all know who the best point guard in college basketball is. That's not a shot on Tristan Newton. Like, it's Tyler Kolek. Man, he's ridiculous.
Pop has Tristan Newton as the best player.
Yeah, he was much better in non-conference play than Kolek was. But, like, how can you look at this last 8-game run that Kolek's put together? Yeah. He's put this team on his back, man. Like, it just he's been absurd. It's a joke. I'm going to make one last point, and I want you guys to tell me if you think I'm just crazy. If you think this is just the worrisome and anxious UConn fan in me, but if you look at who UConn has actually beat this season, right, and you look at what they've actually done. They beat Indiana on a neutral, like, whatever. That's really not impressive at all. They beat Texas on a neutral, which is, like, fine, I guess. But Texas is kind of one of these teams that's inflated by the Big 12. They beat North Carolina on a neutral, which didn't look that great at the time. Looked really, really good 2 weeks ago. And now kind of, again, looks like just, you know, it's fine. It's a top 10 win. They beat Gonzaga in what was effectively a road game, which is, like, fine, whatever. Everybody beats Gonzaga this year, right? And then the wins that they have in the Big East, their best one is Creighton at home, winning at Butler, at Xavier, at Villanova, at St. Like, they haven't done a ton this year that will sit there and, like, pop off the page at you. Does that make sense? So I kind of think if you're going to be able to get right now, KenPom has a line at Marquette +7. I know it's a road game. I know it's UConn. I know it's going to be at the XL Center. There's going to be 17,000 crazy, insane UConn fans. 7 is a big number there. If you can get Marquette +7, like, I think you got it. This is going to be a 1-possession game. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah,
we'll see because I'm with you. I really want it to be that type of game. It's so hard as well. Like, when we've thought that UConn is about to, I'm kind of, like, intrigued to see if UConn's when they're going to lose a game, and I think they're going to lose a game here. I don't think I know you said there's a feasible chance they could go 3-3 here down the stretch, and that I get it with the road games, but I mean, if they lose multiple, I need to see it. I need to see how it happened, and then the question will be: is there a world where Connecticut or Purdue peaked too early? The two have just been so great. Maybe they're just going to dominate their way through it all. But is there a world? We'll see.
It'll be if UConn loses like 3 out of 6 down the stretch. that the narrative will be they peaked too early, when the fact of the matter is the Big East just backloaded their schedule and they played the most difficult games late. Like last year, they played their most difficult games in January and they lost 3 out of 4. It was at Xavier, at Creighton, at Marquette. They lost 3 out of 4 there, and that sent them into a tailspin for another 2 weeks before they were finally able to figure it out. It just depends on when you play your most difficult games in the schedule. That's kind of the only point I was making. All right, big news. Thrilled to announce we have partnered with Autograph, a company founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Autograph fandom app gives you access to the best college hoops content, fan contests, and exclusive rewards like discounted tickets, all for doing the things that diehard fans already do, which is following your favorite team in the news and listening to podcasts just like this one. Right now, the Autograph app has available to people that download it and use the code F68 the ability to get UConn Marquette tickets on Saturday for just $8. They call it the Autograph True Fan Pricing because true fans deserve true fan prices. So make sure you download the free Autograph app in the App Store and use that referral code F68 to be able to change your fan experience for the better. It works like this. You get all the college hoop content you want in one place, articles from your favorite writers, podcasts from your favorite hosts like John Fanta, and content from your favorite creators like Terrence Oglesby. The more you consume, the higher your rank. As you continue to level up in status, you can unlock more unique rewards curated exclusively for you. So start earning points for doing something as normal and as simple as listening to your favorite podcasts now. That's the Autograph fandom app, code F68.